Hey guys, what's going on? This is Skya with another episode. Today, my guest is Terry of the amazing band.
Bruxist?
I'm glad, see, folks, I had to make him say because I screw up those names. So, um, Terry here is a fellow metalhead as well. And apparently, Terry and me have both done our stint in death metal and we retired and moved on to other
Well,
things in life.
yeah. Well, I guess for me, I'm maybe semi-retired. I do another band called Subterranean Disposition. It's like doom death experimental with saxophone in it, and that's very much I would say super grounded in like the extreme metal, like doom metal and stuff. So I still get my metal out in other avenues and a little bit in Bruxist too. In sneak it in there.
Just a little bit, just kind of guided in gently.
It's it's part of the DNA. So even if I wanted to do like a straight ahead punk or hardcore thing, it's probably people would be like, oh no, that's like sort of metal sort of thing. So it's I can't help it. It just comes out.
I understand. I understand. Terry, tell us your musical journey. Like, how did you get into music? Where did you start?
All right. Well, so so primarily, I guess all along this journey, I could say I've been a guitarist from the start, sort of thing. That's what really sort of drew me into music. I got a an acoustic guitar off my dad around 10 years old, and I started to sort of like learn the fundamentals there. And then in high school, sort of formed a band there, and we were doing sort of metal covers, just your Megadeth and Metallica and your Pantera and whatnot. And then from there after high school, like a lot of like, in bands and whatnot. So yeah, it's been going on well since I was like yeah, sort of 16 years old. So I think it's over like 31 years of like being in doing music, being in the community in here in Australia, particularly in Melbourne, but also in Australia. Um, yeah, and I was sort of always a bit restless with creativity and wanting to try new things. So from guitar, I got lumped into the vocal role because no one else would do it in my first band. So they're like, "All right, you're the singer." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'll give it a go." And yeah, like I've been in sort of bands where I would jump on and sort of play bass to fill voids and stuff and build my own relationship as a bass player and working out, how that sits in the genres that I've done. And also sort of outside of metal, I've sort of learned saxophone and piano and double bass and stuff. And I have this project that's I guess the term that I sort of use loosely is doom jazz. So it's like a really slow, doomy sort of metal atmospheric tinge, but it's only using jazz instruments. But yeah, so just been in the Melbourne scene for yeah over 30 years and had a few opportunities to go overseas and tour Europe and Japan in 20 sorry, 2007 and 2009 sort of thing. So a lot of different bands sort of coming from thrash through to death metal, black metal, and then on through sort of stuff that's a bit more like sort of hardcore and yeah, leading up to Bruxist, which is sort of a amalgamation of like a lot of those sorts of things.
So, how did Bruxist come to be?
So, I had a long running band called Order of Chaos that sort of went from sort of had two lifespans from 1995 to sort of 2004, and then we got sort of back together in the late 2000s for about 8 to 10 years. And that project was started as a pretty traditional sort of death metal unit, and in our sort of second lifespan, we started to incorporate some sort of hardcore elements into it. And when it disbanded, I had a friend who's, well, he turned into the Bruxist drummer, Dan Nahum, and he was sort of saying, "Oh, that's a pity that you guys have, are not continuing anymore. Are you going to sort of do you have any more material, and are you going to, keep, trying to go down that avenue of sort of metal with sort of a punk edge to it?" And I'm like, yeah, like I've got like an album or two albums worth of stuff. Do you want to do some, sort of stuff? And he's like, yeah. And so I was like, yeah, all right, well, I'd love to do it, but I'm going to sort of change up my sort of guitar tone a bit. I'm going to add in the HM2, the Swedish, chainsaw guitar sound. Yes. It was something I wanted to sort of explore, just tonally and aesthetically, and he was cool with that. So he lives the Australian Capital Territory, which is the town there is Canberra, where all the politicians are from in Australia. So that's 7 hours from me. So it took a while. For the first couple of years, we would sort of get together in Melbourne or Canberra every couple of months, and then sort of just go through the material that I had. And then when we started to sort of have a grasp on or a concept of like a group of songs that were starting to gel together, we started to look for like a third person. I never really thought of having like a second guitar, or sort of the power trio was sort of the sort of thing that I wanted to do in this format. Just keep it lean and make sure that all the instruments can be heard, because with the chainsaw guitar sound, it's like you have two of those guitars, and then that sucks all the frequencies out of like the bass and the bass drum and stuff. So have it noisy, but like have the instruments, like, yeah, the power trio seemed the way to go. So Dan was like having a bit of a bromance, just looking at a fellow lifetimer in music, Dave Byrne, and he's like, "Oh, let's ask Dave," and I'm like, "Okay, I'd love to have Dave in, but I'm sure he's like, he does all these different bands. One of his big bands is called Ilva, YLVA, and they're a sort of I'd say sort of post metal, post hardcore, a little bit of sludge sort of thing. And they've toured internationally and stuff. And so I was sure that maybe he didn't have the time to do it, but of course we asked, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, of course I'll be down." So I was surprised and elated that he wanted to do that. So all that was going on from probably about 2016 up until we asked Dave, and we actually had like a first rehearsal together, the three of us, in January of 2020. And we're like, "Oh, this is awesome. We'll start like working together a lot, and we'll get this done this year or whatever." And of course, as we can go back into history, COVID hit. And so, yeah, essentially the sort of project was put on the back burner for, well, at least 18 months or so, until we were able to get all together and into a room and start up again. And yeah, we've all got different projects, and we're all, older guys and stuff. Like I have a child and stuff like that. So it just naturally sort of took a little bit longer to get to this end stage of recording an album, but we did so. Finished up the recording last year, started and finished the recording in 2024. And from there, yeah, we sort of said, "Well, we'll self-release it digitally, and we'll try and look for, people that might want to help us put it out on vinyl or tape, say." And yeah, an Australian label, Gutter Prince Cabal, came to the table and said, "Yeah, we'd love to do like a tape version." So it was kind of fitting, because my original band, Order of Chaos, so 30 years ago in 1995, we released our first demo tape. And 30 years on, Bruxist is releasing a tape, not a demo, but still a tape. So. Yeah, I think it's a cool kind of full circle moment for me personally, at least anyway.
It's pretty fucking awesome, actually. I really like that.
Yeah.
Now, with you guys so far apart, I know it's not easy to rehearse, but do you guys like trade music over the internet and demos and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, originally, so I sort of, I'm no sort of professional, but like I have like a home setup, just a computer and just a lot of gear and stuff. And I do a lot of like sort of programming, so I'll like do sort of drum parts and whatnot. So I'll make really solid demos to give the guys a vision of like what I've sort of got. So I really like to write a song from start to finish sort of thing and then give it to them. And then they might be like, oh, let's try this, and, tweak the arrangement, so to speak, or add little bits from what they're sort of thinking. So within all of that, like there's always sort of solid sort of stuff to sort of think about and work on behind the scenes. And then when we get together, it always feels like, when you're young and you're rehearsing week in and week out, you're honing your craft. And then you sort of get that agency and momentum about like how you're playing together and stuff. And this feels like that too, only I would say it's to everyone's achievement that everyone does their homework. And so when we do actually get into the room, it actually feels like, oh, wow, it feels like we were just here last week and we're building on this momentum where like that's not actually the case. It's just everyone's like, been there and done that for a long time and will give the material the time and space it needs. So when we do get together, we're not wasting any time. We're just hitting the ground running. So it's a cool thing.
That is pretty cool, actually, when a band can get together like that and actually just snap. And I like the fact that you said it's a trio, which to me, just about every great band is a trio. I call it either the Holy Trinity, or if it's metal, I call it the Unholy Trinity.
Unholy Trinity. Well, yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, with what we've done with this first album, and then maybe in the succeeding ones, we can sort of get into that unholy Trinity vibe, or at least be called as such. That would be cool.
uh, how would you describe your music to someone who's never listened to it before? I know how I would describe it because, to be honest with you, the saw is the law is what I say, and people will be like, "What the hell does that mean?" I was like, "Buzz saw guitar sound, Swedish guitar sound. The saw is the law." But then
Oh yeah, maybe we'll steal that, put that on a shirt or something, and put a homage to you under it or something. That would be cool. Yeah.
no problem. But that it's got the buzzsaw guitars, it's got that wonderful D beat drum to it. It's just you guys are like it sounds like you're an uncaged animal just ready to attack as soon as the hinge flips open. That's how I describe personally. Uh, like it's to me, it's like Wolf Brigade, but on steroids.
Wow, that's an awesome compliment. Thank you. I think what we're reaching for, like, so when we talk about sort of how, when we talk amongst ourselves and ask each other, are we hitting the mark with, like what we're kind of going for? And I don't mean like in technical aspects. We talk more about feeling, and it's like, is this feeling dangerous? It's like yes or no, and then it's like, well, how can we make this more like sort of dangerous? And dangerous doesn't always mean like make it faster or make it to the point where you can't hear what's going on. It still needs to be legible, but like yeah, we're sort of really conscious of like doing something that gives you a particular feeling. And it's kind of the way we describe it is the sort of the runaway freight train sense of danger. It's kind of like, oh, okay, we're in dangerous territory here, and we don't know what the outcome's going to be, sort of thing. So if you can do that within a song that has, like sort of the D beat. And, I don't want to be like critical of like D beat bands, but I think, um, you know, they rightfully so worship that beat and like what the feeling the beat can give you and the music you can put on top of that. But often, like sometimes it gets sort of overused to the point where it's like, well, the attack of it's gone. Same as kind of grindcore sometimes. It's like
Yeah.
if you're blasting too much, you got to have like you got to switch it up and sort of get your dynamics. So like we want to do these things that like incite these feelings, but we want to be really smart about it and also yeah, to get a sort of sense of danger is like, well, we don't actually know what's going to come next. As you're listening, you're like, oh, they've done this, they've gone there, where are they going to go next, sort of thing. So that's the way we kind of look at it. And yeah, definitely obviously rooted in like the homage to, the Swedish death metal scene. And that sort of thing. But yeah, like I don't want to sort of lean too heavily on that either. It's like it's there and it's present. Some of the reviews that we've got, it's like sometimes they don't even mention the HM2 and I'm like, that's great. They're just picking up on whatever they're picking up on. So it's not like we're coming in and going, oh, we're a HM2 band. It's like, yeah, that's present and that adds to the ugliness and that's that sense of sort of danger, but yeah, don't want it to sort of be the full sort of thing, like the way Dan will do his D beats is not, you know, as he sort of says, he thinks it's kind of like a metal approach because he's a metal drummer. But I think, we're switching it up and we're just trying to sort of yeah, we're trying to work through stuff and have not be too analytical. It's like, how does this feel? And yeah, like the stuff that we come up with on the album, we played that all live together, and it was really important that we were all there playing together at the same time instead of like recording where you do the drums and then you do the guitars. We're all there, and we wanted that band feeling where it's like there might be little flubs here and there, but that's the magic of people playing together, and that's why people listen to recordings of bands or go and see a band live is because they want to have that they want to witness that connection of these people in the moment, and sometimes it's like on the edge of your seat is like, are they gonna like mess up or and that sort of brings in that sense of like, oh, the sense of danger, essentially. So that's where we're trying to sort of work from, at least anyway.
I would definitely say you guys hit the mark on the danger part. Um,
Ah, thank you.
Definitely hit the mark there. There's the tin the there's this tinge in your music. It's like it hits a sweet spot if you like harsh metal with the D beat. It's like you guys somehow found that sweet little spot that combines both the elements, but yet you still surprise me with some of the guitar riffs that you throw in there as well. And it's awesome to hear the bass as well, because most of the time when it comes to heavy bands, you don't get to hear the bass that often. I mean, you did in older metal genre, like when metal was that, you would hear the bass, but it seems like as bands progress, everyone forgot that there was a bass player involved. But with you guys, I can hear the bass clearly. And like I said, you guys just hit that sweet spot that's just like, c'est magnifique. It's perfect.
Thank you. I like really appreciate hearing that. Yeah, like I mean, as I was saying before, the three piece it just allows for a little bit more sort of clarity in the racket, so to speak, because our bass is distorted. It's not HM2, but like initially we were like, oh, how are we going to make this sort of legible? And Dave's the way he approaches the instrument, like he's a guitarist as well as a bass player. So he does a lot of like sort of chords on the bass and a lot of really interesting counterpoints. And it's like it would be like a crying shame for his like really creative and artistic approach to like this really abrasive music to get lost in a mix, you know what I mean? And also with my guitars, so with with the Swedish bands, a lot of them were tuned down a bit lower than sort of what I'm tuning. So they would sort of tune down to like C or B, and I'm up in D, which is closer to like E, like almost like a thrash or a Pantera sort of thing. So I think on a frequency level, like I've left a lot more room for the low end. I'm not trying to like, I don't have a seven string or whatever and stuff like that. And even with some of the riffs, I'm going up like on the higher strings and sort of articulating sort of like higher sort of things instead of just kind of being low all the time. So that gives Dave a lot of room to get in there and actually be the heavy part of the band sort of thing. And it was really important that like, yeah, as we played together and we would just do stuff and I'm like, oh, Dave, that bit's amazing. And it's like, I want people to like to hear that. And in the three-piece format and the way we got the mix out for this album, like yeah, a lot of people comment. It's like it's sore as a law on the guitar, and we call the bass the tractor that's like, just pulling everything along as well. So that's where we want to be. And like to get that sort of feedback from you is like really encouraging because that's where we wanted to sit with it. We want to hear everybody and their contribution, but we want it to be like really heavy at the same time. So it's a tightrope to do, but I think we sort of got over the line with it this time.
Hey, you did a great job to me. I'm not going to complain at all. So, like I said, it's been on heavy rotation. So I'm not complaining whatsoever. Like I said, I love it. My wife may hate you, but I love it personally. So,
Well,
yeah,
I'll take that as a compliment because if, yeah, people don't like this style of music, then, if you're doing your job, then if they're getting annoyed, then yeah.
definitely working. So, what's the future plan for the band?
So at this stage, so we've made sort of tentative steps into the live arena. So we've played twice this year already. Once in a town that's about so it's we have different states in Australia, and our first gig was like in. So I'm from Melbourne, and Dave is from a town called Ballarat, which is regional Victoria, close to Melbourne. And then Dan lives in Canberra, as I said, which is in another state. And you would think that we would have done our first gig perhaps in Melbourne or Canberra, but we actually got to play in Adelaide, which is in South Australia, for the first time in May, and that was a really really cool gig. And then we played in Melbourne in July and stuff. But now we're looking at going to Dan's home state in Canberra next month. There's a big festival called Essence Fest. Dan, the drummer, he actually runs this festival, and this is its second year. And so, yeah, we're just focusing on jumping in and doing the best sort of hometown show for him that we can. And Essence Fest is like really unique in that it brings, so it's not just like say a metal festival. It sort of brings in a lot of different sort of genres that are adjacent to metal but not sort of metal. So there's like dark ambient in there. There's sort of noise. There's a sort of dark electronics sort of, and sort of it's a 2 or 3 day festival, and it really sort of breaks up like a monotonous like 5, 6, or 10 extreme sort of metal bill kind of thing. So really looking forward to like playing with like heavy bands, but then a lot of like different other things. So that'll be really cool. Outside of that, I just recently sent the guys sort of like 4 or 5 years worth of sort of demos. I'm sort of like, all right, here's another batch of stuff. Let's see, what each of these guys gravitates to, and within that, I know sort of Dan and Dave will sort of come to the table this time. A lot of the material that was on this debut came from me, and the guys are going to step up and write some stuff as well. So I really think like because they've got their own projects that they've written for and stuff, and I really respect like the way that they go about their songcraft. So I can only see our music getting like sort of more dynamic with other input other than my own as well. So yeah, I dare say we'll just be going along and trying to get opportunities to get in the live arena and enjoy that while we can, while we're still on the precipice of not being old men, but almost being old men. Yeah, and yeah, just sort of hopefully sort of getting the music out there a bit, and yeah, we'd love to sort of see if we can sort of do some sort of ninja missions in the coming years of like getting out over either to Europe or somewhere near you guys out in the States and stuff. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But that's the sort of aim of it anyway. Just do the music, see what opportunities come from that, and just to enjoy like, being in this Bruxist world and seeing what we can make of it.
Nice. Well, I look forward to it, and I hope all your endeavors pay off. Please, God, don't stop making the music, or I'm gonna have to play bass for you. And we all know that I can't play bass, but I'll make it happen.
Oh, no. Well, it sounds like an incentive. Well, I'll lure you along with it. Like, come on, you can come out to Australia and play, and then you'll get up to speed.
Terry, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Everybody, please go check out Brexus. If you like your hardcore with your D beat and some Swedish buzzsaw, chainsaw sounds, you won't be disappointed. It's completely amazing. I was blown away by it. Um, and like and subscribe to their stuff. Check them out on Bandcamp. Um, yeah, and support them for fuck's sakes. Come on, guys, support good music. Is there anything you'd like to say, Terry?
Well, I'd just like to thank you, Sky, for the opportunity and the lovely chat. And yeah, like and subscribe to your stuff as well. Like you're doing like a wonderful thing, like introducing obscure and underground stuff to, to your people that are following you. And yeah, so I would say that right back. Like and subscribe already.
I appreciate it, Terry. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Wait till the next episode and we'll see what kind of weird stuff we can pull out. Have a good one, guys.